Let me tell you about a pair of boots. Not fancy boots. Not designer boots. Just regular work boots. A guy named Marcus needs them for his shift. He makes about $32,000 a year. After expenses, he has maybe $40 of breathing room at month's end. Maybe. When his boots fall apart, sole peeling, socks soaked in the rain, Marcus buys the only pair he can afford. They cost $30. They feel fine for about 4 months. Then the stitching starts to go. The cushion flattens out. His feet hurt at the end of every shift. By month 6, the sole cracks again. He's back buying another $30 pair. Twice a year, every year. That's $60 a year on boots that never stop hurting his feet. Now let me tell you about James. He's a regional manager at a logistics company. He makes about $110,000 a year. When James needs work boots, he walks into a different store and buys a pair for $170. They have a Goodyear welt sole, full-grain leather, and a manufacturer warranty. James wears those boots for 5 years, maybe 6. He gets them resold once for $40. So over 5 years, James spends $210 on boots. Marcus spends $300. Marcus, who makes a third of what James makes, paid almost 50% more for the same basic need. And his feet were wet the entire time. If that makes you angry, good. It should, because this is not just about boots. This is about your car insurance, your laundry detergent, your apartment, your bank account, your entire financial life. If you've ever felt like the math just never works out in your favor, hear this. You are not crazy. You are not bad with money. You are caught in a system that charges you more for having less. Today I'll show you how that system works, where the traps are hidden, and what you can do. This is the boot trap, and once you see it, you will never unsee it. Many of us carry quiet shame about money. You see advice online. Stop buying lattes. Cancel subscriptions. Make a budget, and you think, maybe I am the problem. If I just tried harder, things would be different. I carried that feeling for a long time. What I've learned from economic research and experts is this. The feeling of falling behind is not a personal failure. It is a design feature. The economy is not broken. It's working exactly as built. It just wasn't built for people like Marcus. Let's get into the numbers. Economists call what Marcus experiences the poverty premium. It's the measurable, documented extra cost low-income people pay for the same goods and services, and it shows up everywhere. Let's start with housing. If you can afford a down payment, you pay a mortgage. A $250,000 home at 7% interest is about $1,660 a month. Over 30 years you build equity, the house appreciates. You end up wealthier. If you can't scrape together that down payment, you rent. Median rent is over $2,000 a month. That's more than the mortgage. At the end of 30 years of renting, you own nothing. Zero equity. The person who had money saved money. The person who didn't have money paid a premium for being poor. Now let's talk about cars. If you have good credit and cash for a down payment, you finance a reliable used car. Maybe 5 or 6% interest. Your monthly payment is manageable. The car runs well. But if your credit is wrecked because you got sick and lost your job, you're at a buy here, pay here lot. Interest rates are 23%, sometimes 29%. A $12,000 car costs $22,000. It's usually an older car, more miles, breaks down more repair bills, more missed work. More financial stress, worse credit, next car loan even more expensive. This is not a slope, it is a spiral. Let's talk about food. If you have money, you can buy in bulk. A 25-pound bag of rice from Costco is $15. That's 60 cents a pound. If you're broke, no Costco membership, no car, no $15, you buy a 2-pound bag. From the corner store for $3.50. That's $1.75 a pound. Nearly 3 times the price per unit. Low-income families pay an estimated 10 to 40% more for food. You're not bad at shopping. You just cannot afford to be efficient. And then there is banking. If you have enough money to maintain a minimum balance, your checking account is free. If you don't, you get hit with a monthly maintenance fee, $12 a month, $144 a year, for the privilege of not having enough money. If your paycheck is late and your electric bill auto-drafts, you get an overdraft fee, $35, for being $4 short. If you don't have a bank account at all, you go to a check cashing place and pay 3 to 5% of your paycheck just to access your own money. A person making $30,000 a year can lose over $1,000 annually just in fees. That's a month of groceries gone, not because they spent recklessly, because the financial system charges a toll. The original Boots theory comes from a fantasy novel, believe it or not. Terry Pratchett wrote it in 1993. The character Sam Vimes explains that the rich are rich because they spend less money. A good pair of boots costs $50 and lasts 10 years. A cheap pair costs $10 and lasts 2 seasons. Over 10 years, the poor man spends $100 and still has wet feet. The rich man spends $50 and stays dry. Pratchett meant it as satire. But economists and researchers have confirmed this fictional observation. It's one of the most accurate descriptions of poverty economics ever written. So now you understand the math. But here's the part that really matters. Why does the system work this way? Is it an accident? Is it just the free market doing its thing? Or is there something deeper going on? The answer is that poverty is expensive by design, not by accident. And there are 3 structural reasons why. The first reason: the entire consumer economy is optimized for people with capital. Bulk discounts, annual subscriptions, prepaid plans, loyalty programs, early bird pricing. These all reward people who can pay more upfront. If you can pay for a full year of car insurance in one lump sum, you save 15 to 20% compared to monthly payments. If you can buy a washer and dryer, you save thousands over a decade compared to the laundromat. If you can afford to live closer to your job, you save hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars in commuting costs. Every single one of these savings requires money you don't have. The system gives discounts to people who already have money and charges premiums to people who don't. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's just how pricing works when profit is the only objective. And nobody is asking who gets left behind. The second reason is the welfare cliff, and this one is genuinely enraging. The U.S. welfare system is designed so that benefits phase out as your income rises. Sounds reasonable in theory. But in practice, the phase-outs are so steep and sudden that getting a raise can actually make you poorer. Families just above the poverty line face a median effective marginal tax rate of 51%. For every extra dollar they earn, they lose 51 cents in benefits. Some families face rates above 70%. The poorest workers in America face higher effective tax rates than billionaires. Let me say that again. The poorest workers in America face higher effective tax rates than billionaires, not because their income tax is high, but because every dollar they earn triggers a loss of assistance. A single mother getting a $2,000 raise loses $5,000 in benefits. She did everything right. She worked harder. She got promoted, and the system punished her for it. This is the welfare cliff, and it is one of the most effective poverty traps ever engineered. The third reason is what economists call the Cantillon Effect. When the government prints money or the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates, that new money doesn't land equally. It enters the economy through banks and financial institutions first. Those institutions lend it to corporations and wealthy investors, who use it to buy assets, stocks, real estate, businesses, before prices adjust. By the time that money trickles down to wages and consumer prices, inflation has already eaten into purchasing power. The people closest to the money printer get richer. The people furthest away get poorer. This is not a fringe theory. Richard Cantillon described it in 1755, And in 2026, it's more visible than ever. The top 1% of American households now hold nearly 32% of all national wealth. The stock market booms, real estate prices soar, and the average worker's paycheck buys less, even though the number on the check went up. You are not imagining it. Your money is worth less. And the people who already had money used the system to get more of it before you ever saw a dime. When someone tells you that poverty is a choice, or that you just need to work harder or budget better, understand what they are really saying. They are saying they do not understand the math. They do not understand the cliffs. They do not understand the premiums. They do not understand that the game board is tilted and the dice are loaded, and the rules were written by people who never had to play from the bottom. Okay, so the system is rigged. The math is brutal. The cliffs are real. Now what? Because I refuse to end this video with just doom. If all I did was explain why things are broken and then said good luck, that would make me part of the problem. So let us talk about what you can actually do, not with toxic positivity, not with just believe in yourself nonsense, but with real, strategic, evidence-based moves that account for the system as it actually exists. The first move is to stop optimizing pennies and start optimizing systems. Most budgeting advice tells you to track every coffee and cancel every subscription. And sure, awareness matters. But the poverty premium research tells us that the biggest costs in your life are not lattes. They are housing, transportation, healthcare, and debt interest. If you can make one strategic move in any of those 4 categories, it will dwarf a year of skipping coffee. That might mean moving to a slightly cheaper area, even if it is less exciting. It might mean buying a $3,000 Toyota Corolla with cash instead of financing a $15,000 car at 20% interest. It might mean spending 6 months repairing your credit score so your next loan does not cost you double. The second move is to learn where the cliffs are before you hit them. If you receive any government benefits, you need to map your cliff. Go to your state's benefits calculator. Plug in your current income. Then plug in what you would earn with a raise or a new job. See what you lose. Sometimes the answer is that the raise is worth it. Sometimes the answer is that you should negotiate for benefits like health insurance or a retirement match instead of a higher salary, because those do not count as income for benefits purposes. Sometimes the answer is that you need to leap past the cliff entirely, going from $30,000 to $45,000 in one jump. Rather than inching up and getting punished at every step, this is not gaming the system. This is surviving a system that was designed without you in mind. The third move is to build what I call a buffer against the boot trap. The boot trap catches you when you cannot afford the upfront cost of the better option. So your single most important financial goal, before investing, before retirement accounts, before anything else, is to build a small emergency buffer. Even $500 changes your life. $500 means you can buy the better boots. You can pay the 6-month insurance premium instead of the monthly one. You can cover the car repair without a payday loan. Research from the Federal Reserve shows that nearly 40% of Americans cannot cover a $400 emergency. If you can get to $500, you have already jumped ahead of millions of people. Not because you are smarter, because you gave yourself the one thing the system tries to deny you, which is options. The fourth move is the most important and the hardest. You have to reject the shame. The poverty premium is not your fault. The welfare cliff is not your fault. The Cantillon Effect is not your fault. Shrinkflation is not your fault. The fact that your rent costs more than a mortgage payment is not your fault. You did not design this system. You were born into it. And the single most dangerous thing the system does is convince you that your struggle is a personal failure rather than a structural feature. When you believe it is your fault, you stop asking questions. You stop demanding better. You stop looking for the exits. And you stay on the treadmill, buying $30 boots twice a year, wondering why your feet are always wet. I want to go back to Marcus for a second. Marcus is not a real person. I made him up for this video. But he is also every person I grew up with. He is my uncle who worked doubles at the plant and still could not get ahead. He is my friend who got a promotion and lost her child care subsidy and ended up worse off. He is the woman at the check cashing place on Friday afternoon, paying $40 to access her own paycheck, because no bank would give her an account after she bounced a check in 2019. These are not lazy people. These are not stupid people. These are people caught in a machine that extracts money from the bottom and funnels it to the top, and then blames the people at the bottom for being empty. The boots theory is not just about boots. It is about a world that gives discounts to the rich and charges interest to the poor. It is about a system where the less you have, the more everything costs. And it is about the fact that once you see this, once you really understand the math, you cannot unsee it. And that is the first step. Not the last step, but the first one. Because you cannot escape a trap you cannot see. So if this video made you feel something, if it made you angry or sad or validated, or all three at once, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Not because I want views. Because the more people who understand the boot trap, the harder it becomes for anyone to pretend it does not exist. And maybe, just maybe, if enough people see the machine for what it is, we can start building a different one. I will see you in the next one.